So I'm calling from Toronto, Canada, and I have a question. So on Thursday last week, you said, quote, feelings are all expressed in the body. And since then, and maybe before then, I've been trying to think of if there's anyone, yourself or anybody who does related work, who's done a good job sort of mapping out what that looks like. Like if you think of the concept of the Inuit having maybe 50 words to describe snow.
Yeah.
So similarly, emotions are complicated, understanding emotions is complicated. So I found some work, MBCT does a little bit of work in that, but I really didn't find that. I found some work, what's that, emotional quotient work, where they sort of listed some feelings and they showed some physical signs, but I can't find a good tracking of that. I'm hoping now or later you might be able to give me some reference to continue to try to understand this.
I wouldn't want to actually,
okay,
in some sense, support that quest of yours.
Okay.
Let me say why, and I'm being very playful about it.
Okay.
That is that it's very cerebral and intellectual.
Yes.
And that's fine. I mean, that's one of our multiple intelligences, but sometimes it gets really dominating. So what I would ask you,
Okay.
first of all, is why do you want to get so involved in those weeds, so to speak?
Right.
As opposed to simply tuning into your own body and seeing or at least testing the veracity of what I asserted by saying that all emotion would be expressed within the body.
Well, I think it's important to be able to differentiate emotions. And if you have some tension in a particular area,
yeah,
and if in more, in a greater number of people, that tension tends to be communicating anger, that's helpful to know, as opposed to, something you're feeling in your body that might be communicating depression or fear.
And would you say that, are you a psychologist or
no, my background's in education.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, are you saying that you don't think you would recognize when fear was expressing itself in your body?
Well, recognizing that it may sound a little strange. I'm a male, so I think confusion about feelings, it comes with the territory. And B,
that's true.
And B, I think, there's probably some truth to the fact that I could get better at. That's what I'm trying to do, is to get better at. So it's not really an academic task. It's
then you don't need you don't need to research it.
Yes, well, I'm a student, so that's the tools I have.
The meditation practice is your laboratory.
Okay.
And your body is your laboratory.
Yes.
And you're the scientist, and you're investigating in a first-person kind of way, direct experience, paying attention to the unfolding of, say, a contraction, a sense of tightness in your neck or in your chest, or some kind of palpitation in the heart that occurs in a particular moment. And so to hold that in awareness without trying to immediately put a label on it, oh, this is fear, or this is, but to just listen deeply to your own body, that's a very worthy mindfulness practice. And it is kind of the root of emotional intelligence. And there's a certain way in which your body will teach you everything you need to know about your own emotional sort of patterning and stuff like that, and how much it can actually imprison us by just paying attention to it over time. In other words, inviting it in as part of the meditation practice.
Okay.
I'm also tempted to say, although I'm not sure why I'm tempted to say this, but because I got the the sort of love aspect of the intellectual flavor of what you were asking.
Okay.
It may be, rather than reading stuff about emotions, it might be valuable for you to read, say, Merleau-Ponty or
Yeah.
Husserl, philosophers
Right.
in the field of phenomenology.
Right.
And maybe a doorway into that would be actually a book called The Spell of the Sensuous by a man named David Abrams, who's both a sleight of hand magician
Right.
and an anthropologist,
Wow.
and gives you a profound angle into the nature of our interconnectedness within nature as being human. And because you mentioned the Inuit,
Right.
the whole universe of how we actually evolved in the natural world, and how our emotions are so tightly linked to our sensations and our perceptions and our vision and our hearing and all of that, and that sculpts the emotional landscape to a very large degree in an embodied way. And he speaks of the more than human world in that regard and how
Right.
we fit into it. So I think if you work both sides of the street, just listening
Yep.
to your own body and then
Right.
maybe reading the Spell of the Sensuous and actually reading the footnotes, which I never recommend for any book for people to
Right.
read the footnotes. But in that particular book, it's really an education to read the footnotes if you're interested in this kind of thing.
Sure.
I learned a lot from it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the most important thing, just keep up your meditation practice.
Mhm.
You